Outlaw Sports is brought to you by Molson Canadian, made from Canada, and Rocky Mountain Barbecue, Alberta barbecue cuisine at its best.
Okay. Right now, Grant, the Calgary Flames are ranked 28th in the league at goals against. And it's a theme that I keep going over and over and over about how they are just letting guys park in front of the net and not paying the price. And you saw it fast against Dallas. These guys parked and scored at will 3 goals in the first period. Now, it leads to this question. And are the Flames, do they just hand over big checks to the wrong guys? I mean, I'm looking at what Wideman is, for example, and I can appreciate his offensive skills. And I see what Jay Bouwmeester's doing this year. He now has 6 goals, and he's skating a lot better and playing a lot better offensively. But are they just giving big checks away to guys that, just to get them, to come to Calgary and say, hey, we want you that bad, here you are. And I think they've overpaid with these guys.
I think they have. I think they've done that before. I think to get Jay Bouwmeester, paying him $6.6 million a few years back, yeah, they had to overpay, or other teams might have picked him up. Dennis Wideman at $5 million, though, Mike, I don't think that's overpaying for him. Do you?
Well, I'm just looking at what he did.
None of them are good defensive defensemen. Yeah. I mean,
he perhaps played his best last year in Washington in the playoffs, Grant. A little more physical, because they ran him out of Boston because he wasn't physical enough on that team, and he was giving the puck away too much.
I think he's had a pretty good year. That Dallas game, I think he and Giordano had their worst game together this season. But to me, spending the money on Dennis Wideman for this team was not a bad idea. Matt Stajan and Alice Kotelik and Anton Babchuk at $2.5 million a year. That was last year or the year before. That was a brutal mistake. Now they can't even. They're not even playing the guy. Yeah. So yes, they have overpaid. But I'm sure a lot of teams in the NHL look over their roster and their cap sheet and say, "Ooh, we overpaid there." Every team does it.
Do you think that's part of the problem, Grant, because this team makes so much money, but yet they're spending it wrong? I
remember sitting here a number of years ago with our old friend Eric Francis, and he said, of course the Flames should spend to the cap. And I said, no, they shouldn't. They're not good enough to spend to the cap. Why overspend when you're an average or below average team? So yeah, I think it's been crazy, but they've made so much money. And I think you said it earlier, to attract free agents to come to this market that has limited potential of winning, and why not play in Florida? If for the same kind of or for a little less money. So I think they have overspent.
Yeah, you look at some of these guys and over the past, and I just shake my head. Again, we come to the point, and I ask you this question, Grant, is do you have to do that to get these guys to play in Calgary? Because it used to be you had to do it to play in Edmonton and Columbus.
I think you do, Mike.
Is this the town that we don't want to admit that, but that's what it could be?
I think it is. I think it's a part of it. I think that's why too they don't want to get rid of Jerome Iginla, or haven't been able to get rid of, or wanted to get rid of Iginla and Kiprusoff, because at least a free agent can recognize 2 big names on the roster. Let's say those 2 players are gone next year, and you've got Kerry Ramo in goal, and you've got Ryan Spooner or something like that. Okay, it's going to be okay. We think that, but is that going to attract people right there? Speaking of overspending, I can't help but think how they've done that recently. And I go back a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago, in the early 90s, when then Doug Risebrough, the Canadian dollar wasn't strong. The Flames didn't overspend, Mike. They wouldn't even spend. They lost Suter, they lost McInnes, they lost Vernon, they lost Otto, and they lost Fleury, but before that they lost Nieuwendyk. If they had... Now there's and Doug Gilmour first, absolutely. If they had overspent then, we probably would have had more success in the 90s than we did.
Yeah.